Hello and welcome back to another episode of League Talk, the podcast all about management, coaching, performance and all things League of Legends. My name is AJ and on today's podcast we have League's most famous photographer and LEC's own lead photographer, Michal Konkol. Now I know that's not how you pronounce your first name, but I didn't want to butcher it, so hopefully that was okay. But firstly, welcome, thank you so much for your time, and why don't you give everyone a little introduction to you?
Hey, thanks for having me. A little introduction. Honestly, I don't know if there's that much interesting stuff I can say. Born and raised in Poland, so yeah, I'm Polish, not Scandinavian.
That was my first take. That was my guess for Scandinavia.
Not even close to being an American, because I've been told that.
Really?
So.
Wow. Eclectic mix of accents.
Yeah. What is there to say about me? Well, as you said, I'm the LEC photographer, or as many call me, the LEC photo Viking. Honestly, I love that. So yeah, I'm good with that. What else? I've been doing this basically the esports photography for now six years. Yeah. My first esport gig was in 2014 Gamescom actually. Did like esports in general, just the community side of things for Riot, since that was their last event that they did for Gamescom.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So that was your first sort of gig. How did you get to Gamescom and how did you get in contact with Riot?
I don't know if it's a really funny story or a friend of mine has been working for Riot for some time, and they were actually looking for someone to cover, as I said, the community side of things.
Yeah.
So cosplay, basically, as maybe some of your viewers remember, Riot actually that year showed the new map of Summoner's Rift.
Okay.
And they actually recreated the map on the floor. It was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming back to your question, basically they were looking for a photographer. Bartosz, he was working and still works for Riot. He knew me from back in the days. And he actually gave me a chance to take on this new thing, new path, and that's basically it. My background with like event photography, that was basically it. I did a lot of like local events, bigger, smaller ones, but basically being the event photographer helped a lot. Like capturing moments helped.
Amazing. Because, you know, pathways are always a really interesting thing, right? But understanding where you've got to where you are today seems even more interesting, because the journey is an unusual one. Like nowadays, a lot of people can go to university and get like a degree in photography. They can understand like physically how I don't know enough about it, so you'll have to bear with my stupidity when it comes to photography, but physically how they take the right photographs, theoretically the right way to do it. But for you, did you have an education in photography? Was it something that you just sort of took to and really enjoyed doing?
No, actually I have absolutely no degree, never taken a class in photography,
Wow.
and I don't want to say that I loved photography since I was like 2 or 3 years old. No, quite the contrary.
Wow.
When I was still in like middle school, like even high school, I didn't really enjoy taking photos. My parents always like literally shoved a camera whenever I was going on any like school trips. Hey son, take some photos. And yeah, I took like 2 or 3. And then the rest of it was just kids having fun, and that was it. But maybe that was the point when my parents actually planted a seed of capturing some fun moments. Maybe that was that. Basically, my kind of love for photography started like at the end of high school, somewhere around there. So yeah, that's no. And again, I haven't been born with a camera in my hand.
Yeah.
Uh,
Amazing.
I didn't take any classes. Like all of my knowledge was just pure. Hey, I saw a photo that looks kind of like this. Let me try and recreate it. Of course,
Wow.
for like the beginning of my journey was like hell. I not make that work.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do they do that?
Yeah.
And like it was 10, 15 years ago, even like online classes were not a thing back then. Like only one or two websites like had a couple of classes, something like that. But basically, um, that's where my knowledge comes from.
That's
Like
amazing. So like a
on
real practitioner, really.
yeah, online classes, like getting the camera, going outside, and just trying it out. Nothing less.
That's amazing because that's so so for me, I'm in my fourth year of university, and to hear that someone has got as far as you have with no formal degree is amazing. I think that shows that people who really put the time and put the effort into something that's like photography, which is an art, really, isn't it? Put their heart and soul and time and effort into it as an art is amazing to see that. So I'm interested as well. You've gone from, so we got up to the point that you're basically in the community side for Riot, and then moving to the LEC. Was this as the LEC was put together and it was no longer EULCS? How did you get up to where you are now then?
Well, after Gamescom, there was no official announcement that Riot would separate ways with ESL, and that they would actually build their own studio, take whole thing and do it themselves. So again, I was contacted by Riot around mid-December, like 2014, and they were like, "Hey, would you like to try studio photography for us? Like, take photos in the studio and so on, so on." Like, yes, of course, I would love to. So after that, like some time has passed, and it was like a month or something. Then the first official EULCS in Berlin started. And so I went to Berlin, always having that sentence, "Hey, studio photography." So yeah, of course, sure. I went to the whole venue of Riot in Berlin, and so, "Hey, here's your credentials," and so on and so on. And yeah, let me show you the studio. And we go to this big ass studio, but they didn't tell me that it was basically a TV studio. So that's kind of awkward because for me, like studio photography, you have backdrops, lights,
Yeah.
etc. So that was like, yeah, okay. Sure, let's do it.
Damn.
Oh yeah, what time does it start? You have like roughly 3 hours, so you can set up wherever you want. Like, here's a spot for you. Great. So I grabbed my laptop and started Googling esports photography.
Wow.
What's that?
Yeah.
Like, literally, what's that? And again, back then, like the people that were like the best in the business, and like literally just a couple of names that come to mind is Helena, is Joe Brady. That was basically it. I'm gonna butcher his name, and sorry for that, but Joe Ferreira, basically it's me error, that's his Twitter name. So those were the three people that I actually Googled and saw what kind of photography they were doing.
Wow.
like, wow, okay, this is gonna be fun. So yeah, first day passed, second day passed, and yeah, happily I went back home, started editing the photos and so on. So I sent the photos, and mm, basically the response I had was, "Yeah, Michael, that's not exactly what we're looking for."
Oh, okay.
Whoopsie. But yeah, we have another show in a couple of days. We would love to for you to come back. And then I decided, yeah, I have 5 days, so let's get down and dirty with it. So I watched every VOD that I could find on league. Try to find photos of players, make notes, and still till this day I have a little tiny I want to say black book.
Yeah.
Take notes on every player, and like from a slightly psychology side,
Yeah.
I actually try and make notes on if he's very calm on stage, if he's very explosive, like can he do certain things, something like that. That's just basic research that I do every single year, every single split, because we have rotational players, we have new faces, and I just like to be prepared. And as many people think, yeah, like esports photography is, of course, capturing the moments. But if you can prepare yourself and do some research, it makes things a lot easier.
Amazing. That's news to me, and I mean this with no disrespect, of course. But when it comes to photography, I'd always seen this as like obviously someone taking photos, of course, but it was almost limited to that in my mind. So it's super interesting to find out that you will do research, you will find the right sort of angles. I presume it's you find out those things about calmness and whether they're explosive for the times to photograph them. Is that along the right tracks or?
Yeah, exactly. Like with league, the amount of emotions is quite limited. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's not like other titles.
Sure.
Again, I don't want to like butcher on any CS:GO or any fighting games
Yeah.
photographers, but let's be honest. Like the amount of emotions, the
Sure.
pure emotions in league is basically when the nexus falls,
Yeah.
or like a huge team fight at the end of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, CS:GO, we have that like literally every round.
Yeah. Of course.
With I don't know, Smash, with any kind of
Call of
other fighting
Duty.
games, we also have that with basically every single round.
Yeah. Because a lot of people will talk about Call of Duty as a title and how there's a lot more smack talk, there's a lot more trash talk and it's
Yeah,
it's at the point where they will be on stage trash talking each other, and I should imagine that's the sort of emotion that you're talking about that isn't quite there with League of Legends, is it? Um,
exactly.
so yeah,
Like,
do you think that makes it more
well,
difficult to photograph or just different?
um, I would say different.
Mm.
I think the difficulty level in any game is quite the same. We have to work with often very poor lighting conditions. Like for example,
Yeah,
trying
of course.
to capture any emotions like through the people that are sitting in the venues. They are
Mm.
often very dark,
Yeah.
or uh, red on one side, blue on one side, and that's basically common to every title that I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Uh, like my friends that are photographers as well always curse the light guys for, can you just use a different color? Can you just add a bit of natural light? Like any kind of white light would do. Like don't just flood the floor with red or
Mm.
blue.
Of
Any
course.
other, like literally any other.
Yeah. So you've sort of you touched on getting to being an esports photographer, but I'm sure, especially in 2014 when you were working at Gamescom, esports certainly isn't where it is now. Let's put it that way. In terms of viewership, in terms of funding, sponsorship, all those different things, and just enormity of the industry generally. But what made you want to go into esports? Because of course, I'm sure you had the ability to go, maybe weddings or wedding photography, or maybe traditional sports photography, something like that. I'm sure there was lots of other routes, but why did you pick esports?
Honestly, back at the days, I was actually doing wedding photography
Yeah, sounds
quite
right.
I think most of us did. Like at some point in every like photographer's career, there are gonna be some weddings. And let's be honest, it's a fun job when you have like a fun couple that can actually work with you and doesn't go to you like, hey, we want you as our photographer. Now do your magic, and they don't do nothing like that. That just doesn't work at all. Uh, but why esports? Honestly, it combines so many aspects of photography, like just the burst of moments that you can capture. You can either capture the moments of glory or the moments of destruction. Honestly, of a player, like a Chinese photographer. I think is sorry, I don't even want to try and butcher his name.
Of course.
But he captured a moment so beautiful, but on the other hand, so like demolishing to a player. I'm talking about the photo that he took of Uzi from Royal Never Give Up, like when they were eliminated a couple of days ago in Berlin in group stages. His there, like he was taking photos of all the Chinese and Korean teams. I think I don't want to be misguiding. Basically, he was taking care of the Asian teams, so. He was able to get into the room that Uzi was there. He was crying. He was devastated. Basically, a beautiful shot showing like pure emotions that are constantly here, and that's honestly the biggest thing that I love about esports. The emotions, they're so pure, so raw at times. That's the thing I love about it the most.
Interesting, because it must have been even more obscure in 2014. It's pretty obscure now when people say, "Oh, I work in esports," especially. So for me, my background's in traditional sports, and when people go, "Oh, you work in esports?" I'm like, "Yeah, esports." They're like, "What is that?" So in 2014, it must have been exactly like that. Still,
honestly, I still have questions from the older part of my family, and even from some of my friends when we like hang around and they're like, "Hey, can you explain what the hell is this? What are they paying you for? Like, you just walk around and do photos?" Yeah, basically. Just on a huge venue like 15, 20, or even more thousand people. Yeah, but they're just looking at a screen and seeing other people play a game. I always tell them, hey, do you go and watch like football games, volleyball matches, stuff like that? So you're basically sitting down and watching other people play. Isn't that the same?
Yeah, quite.
Yeah. So again, for me, like joining like the esports family or the esport hype train, I'm all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because photography as itself to me has always been something that everyone's tried it here and there, and they've taken some photos on their phone, or maybe they had a camera when they were a little bit younger, whatever it may be. But I'm really interested from you on a micro level, being specific to each and every photo that you take. Do you think about an aim? You've spoken about the research that you have to do, and obviously the emotion must be a part of this for you in terms of the aims and what you're trying to capture. But from a good day's work, what do you get from the aims and the goals from your photography?
Well, tough question.
Take your time. There's no rush. Because obviously, with everything that people do, whether you're a professional player, whether you realise it or not, there's always something that generally underpins it, right? So whether they're just trying to win the game, or for you it could be, for example, your aim is literally just to capture the most explosive moments, or the moments that are going to bring the most emotion. I'm not entirely sure, but for me it's difficult to put into words because obviously I don't work in this sort of art form like you do,
You're actually like 100% right. Basically, the research that I did previous to starting the season or starting of a tournament, is basically when it comes down to a certain team winning. I don't know, let's say G2. They are so hype right now,
Yeah.
and I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I know that every single player can do something completely different from each other. Like Jankos is also a Polish guy, so we have like this sort of connection, I would say.
Yeah.
It's kind of a thing when you have someone on the other side, which you can communicate much easier than the rest of them.
Yeah.
It makes things a lot easier. So the moment that the game is gonna end, I know who to focus on,
Sure.
because we can have a player that just okay, the next is false, thank you,
Yeah. Headset down.
I'm up. And some other players could go standing up or even jumping up with happiness, with emotions. So the previous like research helps a lot of pinpointing where to actually point the camera. That gives me a much higher chance of actually capturing the right guy, the right moment, the right.
Amazing. It's funny you mentioned Jankos there. Obviously, he is one of those players that likes to jump up. I don't know if you must have seen it at the finals where he got so excited that G2 won that he actually fainted for a couple of seconds as well. So I'm sure that sort of stuff keeps you on your toes.
I was actually super scared about him because he was all cheerful, all happy, like hugged Wonder, and then like
just gone.
And I was like, guys, he's like down. I've actually managed to capture the moment when they realized, Jankos? Dude? Hello?
Those are that's the comedic moments as well in a way, isn't it? So it sort of gives you the full spectrum in esports, I should imagine, for that reason.
Yeah.
For your job title, this is something that's really interesting as well, because being a photographer, it's pretty self-explanatory, but being the lead photographer for the LEC, I'm really interested to see what this job and the title actually entails. So maybe what you could do is you could sort of break down for myself and the listeners what a general sort of day-to-day is like when you're photographing at the LEC.
Yeah, sure. So basically, the games are taking place in the studio in Berlin, and that might be a shocker, but I don't live in Berlin. I drive there, and I drive. Yeah, every single week I drive from my home in Poland.
Whoa.
Tiny bit less than 500 kilometers, so that's quite a journey, like 5 to 6 hours.
Wow.
Yeah,
Brave.
Been doing that for 5 years now.
Oh my goodness.
When I get there, basically I have my editing / photo room, which is basically just behind the stage, so I'm super close to all the action. I'm normally like at least 3 hours, 2-3 hours before the show starts, mainly to not be like stressed about, oh my god, am I gonna miss a game or something like that. That's just not gonna happen. Then I can prepare my gear in peace and quiet, and on top of that I can see the rehearsals, so I know what's gonna happen like during the show, not like meaning what the games are gonna go like. But I know what the LEC talent is gonna prepare for, like the segments before the show, like between the games. I'm basically informed beforehand what's gonna happen. The doors to the studio open like an hour before the first game. So basically that's when my work really starts. I just go roam around and try and capture some happy faces. And then I go to the analyst desk for ready check. After ready check, we start the games, and basically that's my whole day. Like going through the whole show, taking photos, editing on the fly basically. So all the photos are up on Flickr during the day, not a day after or a week after. Wouldn't make any sense. The goal here is when I finish the day, I'm basically done with editing. Everything is uploaded and everyone can use them. So that's basically it. After that, hotel, shower,
chill,
sleep.
Yeah. Damn, it seems like go, go, go. From the moment you start, then it seems like it's all but non-stop, really, then.
Yeah. basically, yeah. It took some time to like get in the groove of things, but after like 2 or 3 weeks, when basically Riot decided that, hey, would it be possible to like have the photos edited on the fly during the show? Okay, let's try it. Why not?
Yeah. Wow. Let's go, go, go. It seems hectic because that's LEC, and currently we're not in the LEC at the moment. It's the 2019 World Championship is now on. And obviously
yes,
you're partaking in this.
Glorious hotel life.
Yeah. So are you down in Berlin for extended periods of time now? You're not driving back and forth, surely?
No. I was in Berlin for more than 3 weeks for play-ins for groups. Now I'm in Madrid. As you can
keep going. Yeah. Wow.
Now I'm in Madrid, and on Saturday and Sunday we have our quarterfinals. Then another weekend, semifinals, and then off to Paris
for the finals. Amazing. So obviously you are partaking in this, not as a competitor, but as the photographer for the event. How's this been for you so far, and as an experience? And are there any big takeaways, things that you learned from Worlds that you don't really see in LEC, for example?
Honestly, the biggest takeaway is like meeting the Asian players. I'm basically in love with them.
Okay.
Things like that. Basically, they are so kind. They're so nice. Like always, like bowing to you, like respecting you. Whenever you want to take a photo of someone, they rarely say no. They're always very polite about it. Like they listen to what you are saying. That's really something else. I'm not saying that LEC players are not nice or anything.
Of course, yeah.
All of them are, but this is, for me personally, this is something different. I tend to only work in Europe, so seeing like the cultural differences is something else for me.
Yeah. So have you noticed that some regions are more emotional? Are there differences in terms of when NA comes across photographing people from North America in that region comparative to EU or Korea, for example?
I would say that in all of this madness and all of this competition, like EU versus NA, I would say that players from North America and Europe are basically the same. I wouldn't say there's much difference between them. Everyone on that side is extremely cocky, very confident. Yeah. And I love that about them. Like I really do. Like on the other hand, the Asian players are very calm, very. They're not very explosive with their emotions. Like smiling, nodding, yes, but that's basically it. You can capture, like, for now at least. We didn't manage to capture like too many like explosive emotions when it comes to like other regions than Europe, NA, Turkey, Brazil. Oh my God, Brazilian players are the best.
Yeah, they seem like a fun one to photograph. Right?
Yeah, and especially like the Brazilian fans. We had just like, I don't know, a 10-15 people group in the Berlin studio, but they were so loud.
Yeah, I can imagine. What was it? I can't remember if it was the World Championship or MSI that was held in Brazil. MSI. Did you go and photograph that?
No. At that time, I didn't.
Okay, I was going to say that must have been. Imagine photographing that. That would have been something, wouldn't it?
would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
But from this World Championship,
Time will come. Let's
yeah,
first
for
finish
sure,
this and
for sure.
then some much needed rest.
Amazing, yeah, I can imagine. Is there a certain player that you're looking forward to photographing coming to this weekend? Is there something that you've really got your eye on, something you want to take away from quarterfinals?
Honestly, I would really love to have like for each match, I would love to have 5 games. I know I'm gonna regret saying that after the first set of 5.
When your sleep schedule's
I'm
in
gonna
trouble.
regret it a lot. Uh, but yeah, it tends to like build up the emotions more when you have 5 good games. The last Nexus falls. I'm pretty sure that even SKT, Damwon, or any other of the Asian teams will show some pretty good emotions.
Yeah. I think this world is as well for you is an interesting one because there's that element of the unknown that hasn't always been there in past world championships, and that probably gives a little more hypiness for the players and maybe for the fans and maybe even for you as the photographer as well, I should imagine.
And honestly, seeing 3 European teams like qualify
Yeah.
to get out of groups makes my heart a little like more happy.
I can
To
imagine.
be honest, seeing the players that I photographed during the whole year,
Making it
it's
there.
kind of.
Wow, yeah, the
I'm just gonna
journey.
say it out loud. I'm very proud. I'm
Yeah.
very very proud.
Amazing, because you see the journey, don't you? You don't. It's not just like you're there for like a couple of days here and there. Obviously, you see from sort of day one of the split all the way to where we are now. Obviously, at World, so you really see from start to finish, don't you?
Yeah.
But when I've seen some of your work, some of the stuff that really stands out to me is some of the work you do with the on-air talent, the LEC guys. But I'm interested from your perspective. Is there someone or do you have a favourite person to photograph that you think it works really well with you? Is there a favourite photo that you have, one that's really memorable, for example?
When it comes to like the on-air talent, I don't have a clear favorite. Like
Yeah.
I love all. Like really working with them is the biggest honor I can actually imagine. Like I remember from day one, when I met Quickshot, he was he was amazing. Like he showed me around, uh, taught me where to be, what to fish for, and so on. Like he was really amazing. But when it comes to like the whole LEC talent, like no, I love working with every single one of them. Like we've like outside the studio, we've done some ads, which I do BTS stuff for, and every single one of them like gives something slightly different. Like
Yeah.
Medic and Verius are clearly the funniest
Yeah.
duo. So yeah, the recent shoot that we did for like the end of Athens, when they had their beards and
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was really something else. Like doing the route, the cover,
The
like
sandstorm.
the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
route sandstorm it was hot as hell. Like
Oh, I can
we
imagine.
we, we literally managed to go to Athens to experience 2 of the most hottest days in all. It was basically 40 degrees all the time,
Wow.
and I'm saying 40 degrees in shade,
Oh my goodness.
little to no wind. Like everyone was sweating. Oh my God. But the
Yeah.
experience itself, amazing. Like working with them, again, amazing, amazing, amazing.
Great news. I'm glad. It must be phenomenal. Not a lot of people get the opportunity to really speak so passionately about something that they do in their work as well. So it must be lovely to see that it's something that you sort of love doing day in, day out. But is there one photo that's really stood out in the past that you've been like, that was the photo that's either made me or has really stood out in my brain and always will?
Um, like the 3 photos that I'm most happy about in the total span of those 5 6 years is the one when it was Hamburg. I think it was Hamburg or Rotterdam.
Mm-hmm.
It was the EU LCS finals back then when they for the first time introduced like the team mascots.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. I remember.
Basically, G2 Lotas
Mm-hmm.
and Roma from Unicorns.
Yeah, I
This
remember.
was one of those photos that still to this day like is one of my pure favorites.
Mm-hmm.
The other one would be Uzi hugging the MSI trophy last year. That would be the second one, and the third one. I know it's going to be on the very contrary, very sad one,
Mm-hmm.
but having Attila and Gurillo, basically Gurillo was chewing up Attila as they were eliminated from playoffs. It was
Damn.
basically those three photos that are my pure favorites, and I have them printed like 1.5 by 1 meters in my office.
Oh, wow.
Those three, yeah.
Lovely. Amazing. It's cool to see that it's, spanned time as well. It wasn't just like all from the last split or all from the previous split. You've gone from lots of different time frames.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've sort of coming to the last couple of questions now, and it's been really, really interesting. But the one before the final question, the penultimate question, is about advice. And obviously, coming from someone like you, I introduced you as the most famous league photographer because I think that's probably the apt title. You are, I think, in my opinion, the most famous league photographer. You don't agree? maybe you shouldn't agree. But from you, it must be amazing to hear from photographers, and this is why I asked that question. Do you have any advice for aspiring photographers wanting to get into esports?
Honestly, I get few questions like that from time to time. But what I would do in today's esports would be take your camera, go to an event, try to get as a media. It's really easy. You just find the people that are responsible for that for a certain event,
Mm-hmm.
and just go and do your best. Then come back home, take a look at the photos, reevaluate what you've learned, go to another event, build up your portfolio this way, and then go and start sending out your portfolio to like the photo teams of different events. It's really back in 2014-15, we had only a couple of major esport events. But this year alone, like if you would try to count every single esport or esport related event, I don't think that's even possible.
Hundreds, yeah.
It's like in every single country, like even my own country, which is really falling behind on esport, uh, and I really say that very sad. uh, you can find events that you can go to, bring your camera, take photos of booth, of meetings with players. You can actually go to the player and ask, hey, can I take a photo of you? Can we like take 2 or 3 steps this or that way so the light is better, so the composition is better? Really, don't be afraid to ask the player or the owner talent, anyone. If they have time, they will never say no.
Of course.
Really. Of course, be polite. Don't, hey, I need to grab you.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Be polite. Ask. Don't be intrusive. Be polite.
Amazing. That's really interesting. So building that portfolio really important. I guess that's sort of you to a T, isn't it? That practitioner, that someone that's been in the trenches, has been been through photography for a while, doing rather than just sitting and reading about it. Really interesting. I think that sort of attitude can span more than just photography, though. I think that advice of doing and going and asking is something that will help lots of different people. So thank you for that. But the final question, and this is the standard question that I ask everyone that comes onto the podcast, and it's this: what is one thing that you can teach me or the viewers from your world? Now, this can be absolutely anything. It can be a quick little photography trick, maybe something that you can do on a phone, or it can be absolutely anything, your favourite book, your favourite quote, whatever that may be. But if anything springs to mind, that would be great.
I'm going to turn around that slightly and ask you one question.
Yeah.
What is the best camera in the world?
Oh my gosh. I feel like that's a trick question. I have no idea.
It is, yeah.
I have no idea. The one that you have, maybe?
Exactly. The one that you have with you at the time. It can be your phone. It can be your favorite camera. Whatever can take a photo is the best camera in the world for you at that particular moment. So really, if you are passionate about photography, with phones these days, you can take beautiful, beautiful shots just using your phone. You don't have to have any like expensive gear, like fancy cameras, fancy lenses, or stuff like that. Really, start with your phone. Download an app that can, so that you manage manually what your camera and your phone does. Really, just start simple and build your way up to something better. That's it.
Amazing. Really interesting. I think that is one common thing that people do no matter what. It's really, they focus on the little tiny things, right? So, oh, what microphone do I have? Oh, I need a better computer. I need the better screen. I need this. I need that. I need that. When in fact, what you have can work most of the time. I presume that's stalwart in photography, right?
Exactly. If you see me walking around with my family, you won't see a camera with me. Oh no, I just take my. If I want to take a snap of my son, having fun, playing on the playground, I'll just mostly have my phone with me.
Wow.
And that's it. Really.
Amazing. No, that's really interesting. Thank you for that as well. I appreciate that. But that has summed up all of the questions that I had for you today. So firstly, I want to say, Michael, thank you so much for your time. It's been really, really interesting hearing from you and really interesting talking to you as well. And thank you for all the knowledge and information that you've imparted on us. And I hope you've had a bit of fun talking. So if people did want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do so? Because obviously you have so much work out there. But if people hadn't heard of your work or hadn't seen you before, where's the best place that they can find your stuff?
Honestly, I think the best way would be through Twitter. I tend to post there the most, or Instagram, stuff like that. And the whole, like the Riot photography team, will publish on Riot's Flickr account. So go there, enjoy the photos. We really hope you like them.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And once more, I just wanted to say thank you again for your time. I really appreciate that. But I hope everyone that has been watching or listening, depending on what platform you're on, has enjoyed this episode. A big thank you to Michael again for the time, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. We will see you on the next one. Thank you very much.